A while ago, I saw this gymnosperm tree that sheds/peels its bark once a year. And the pieces/flakes/scales or whatever you call them, I don't know what it's called, these pieces came off in around like 7 centimeter squared sized flakes. It's like a bit smaller than my palm. You can see one over here in the video. And they're thin but not brittle. They're mostly flat but have a slight curvature to them. And just a quick aside, I tried looking up what the tree that made this bark is called, but I couldn't find any tree that matched this description. So if any of you know of such a tree, please let me know. But anyway, the flakes come in many different shapes, and one specific one stuck out to me. Look at this one. I found this one piece that looked like a little figurine, and it even had a small hole, which is probably a lenticel or something, where the belly button of a person would be. And my main Khan culture would find this very fascinating. So based off of this, I decided that in my world, there are such trees growing, and the differing shapes, together with the locations of the lenticels, which are the little pin-sized holes in these little bark thingies, I think, are used for divination. Meaning that each shape and lenticel position tells you something about your fortune and destiny, and the shamans/priests, or let's just call them priests, train and learn how to read it. So, one way the divination can be done is that priests have these trees near or on the properties of temples. And by the way, the tree in this video was just a random tree that has bark flakes of various shapes. It's not the same tree that produced the figurine bark flake thingy that I showed before, and that I'm talking about now. But anyway, they have these trees near or on the properties of the temples, and people buy property lots on the tree, like little foot-squared sections or something, which are marked and recorded, and when the bark sheds, the bark that comes from a person's lot reveals their divination. Another way this divination can be done is that instead of buying lots on a tree before the bark sheds, the priests can collect all the fallen bark and put it in buckets, and then people come and they pick out flakes from these buckets, and whichever piece you pick out, that's what tells you your divination. Another way the divination can be done is less for city people and more for, let's say, steppe herders or something. They can shoot an arrow into the woods, aiming at one of these trees, and the bark piece that the arrow lands on tells their divination. Another similar idea I had, which could be done by a cousin culture or one that has been influenced through trade or something, is that there's some species of bug that burrows into the inner layers of bark and draws intersecting lines, and the divination is read from the shapes that are left over between these lines, so that it's like the bugs reveal the hidden shape that tells you your divination. So the same methods as before can be done for divinations. So, for example, right, they can plant these trees at the temples and sell lots on the trees, like property, and then implant the bugs into the bark and wait for a while until the bugs eat through the whole bark, and then peel off the bark to reveal the shapes that are hidden beneath it. And then whatever shapes are revealed on your lot reveals your divination. They can also cut down one such tree before a bug is implanted in it, and cut the bark into tablets, and implant the bugs into these tablets individually, and then people buy tablets rather than property lots on a tree. And finally, they could also shoot arrows into wild trees that have bugs in them. You know, maybe there's a visible tell sign thingy when trees have bugs in them, so you can know which tree has a bug in them, and so you could just shoot an arrow at one of these trees, and the section of the tree that the arrow lands on is what tells your divination. But anyway, this idea fits super well with the prompt wood warning that was on the Pastel Gnome Discord server. After all, divination is a type of warning, and it's done on or from wood, so I decided to make this an entry for that too. Alright, so now for some extra ideas that I got from this bark divination thingy that don't really fall under the wood warning prompt. The tracing of these divinations can be the first characters for my Khan culture. From here they would get common characters relating to life, fortune, prospects, weather, etc., and they can base their writing style on these images, which would be interesting because this might lead the characters to end up being just the outlines of things rather than stick figures of them, which would lead to an interesting style of writing for these people. Like, because you see the little figurine from the beginning of the video, where if they would draw an outline of that, then a person would be drawn like a blob instead of a stick figure. And I thought that was interesting, that their character style would end up looking like that. Also, in their mythology, they can believe that in the ancient times before humans, trees were ambulent just like humans are now, and they had societies and things, but they were much more divine than we are. And one of the species of trees, the one that is used for the divinations, invented writing, and that's where human writing came from thousands of years later. The writing was in the bark, and the humans figured out what each symbol refers to, and from that they started writing themselves. Though since the trees were ancient and divine, their writing only had on it the important divine characters, so that's why the humans had to come up with the rest of the characters. Alright, so that's all I have for you today. How do your cultures do divinations? Do your cultures even do divinations? Make sure to let me know in the comments how dumb my world building is and how many oversights I made and how many opportunities I missed while coming up with this world building piece so that I can go back to my notes and flesh it out with the best ideas. Alright. Yeah, that's it. Should I do like an outro? Like, and as always, stay juicy, or, and remember, there's world building juice everywhere. Or is that too corny?